G'day all and welcome back to the channel. Today we're back on the internet together and we're on TikTok having a look around. What are the punters saying about Melbourne? Let's jump straight into it.
Oh God.
She's probably absolutely off her guts. Cooking on the glass Barbie. Middle of the day robbery. There you go. Where's security? Why doesn't anyone do anything about it? Everyone just pulls out their phone and tapes.
I think they caught the police on the inside there, but the videotaped it.
I don't think she gives two stuffs if she's being videotaped or not. I don't even think she's on this planet. This is Melbourne CBD for you. I always rag out on Melbourne CBD, and rightfully so. It's an absolute... It's the Badlands. It's the Walking Dead. People think, no, you're being a bit over the top, G-man. It's a beautiful place to live. Excuse my throat. It's a beautiful place to live. The most livable city in the world. I'm there 4 or 5 times a week. I'm there. I see this. I see people just like this. Maybe not crime, but people just like this being threatening, being antisocial and intimidating to the average punter on the street. There are many people out there that are carrying on this way in the Melbourne CBD. A lot of mental health problems, a lot of people on gear. Go down to Burke Street Mall, go down to Elizabeth Street. You're going to see it. And the thing is now, we are all so used to it. There are people screaming on the street, carrying on, F you, F this, you know, they're yelling at people, F you see you next Tuesday and all that. People just don't even register it. That's how normal it's become. Absolutely mental.
He's coming out. Get out now. Biggest one.
God laughs at it. Far out. There we go. I wonder if there's more to that story. You know, did she work there and they didn't pay her right? I'm probably, you know, just making stuff up here. How could you just go and do that middle of daylight, surrounded by people taping you doing it and not have a care in the world? Probably drugs.
Victorians are sick of living in fear. Speaker, there is a crime now committed every 50 seconds in the state of Victoria. An aggravated burglary takes place.
She sounds like a Roberta Williams. What's going on here? That's not a voice you're going to want to hear walking in the door after work.
Every single hour where a thug breaks into someone's home with a machete, a tomahawk, a knife, a gun, and in some instances stabs or threatens someone in their own home. That happens every single hour in our state. That is how the Allen Labor government has failed Victorians. Victorians are sick of the government putting criminals' rights ahead of victims' rights. The Victorians are sick of the government protecting perpetrators over victims. Victorians are sick of living in fear as to whether there will be someone that comes to their house in the dead of night with a machete, with a tomahawk, because these youth offenders are
Bailed 50 plus times. How's that? So one dude or chick or whatever, it doesn't say. 7 vehicle thefts, 4 aggravated burglaries, bailed 50 times, released on a Thursday, and then reoffended 12 hours later. There we go. There we go. We need castle law. If people were concerned that if they're going to go and break into someone's home, they're going to see the other end of a gun, I think there'd be a lot less of it. And if people were in their rights to do so and feel confident to defend their property, Because you hear that these stories about, okay, there was one I know that was a few years ago now. I'm not sure where in Australia it was. I'm not sure if it was Victoria or not. There was a guy, he was lying in bed. He heard his daughter screaming. She might have been a toddler, 3 years old, something like that. She was screaming. So he jumps up, he runs into the bedroom, and there's some dude standing there like, looking like he's completely off his chops on whatever, standing over her bed. So what does he go and do? He grabs the guy, puts him in a headlock, sleeper hold, and they wrestle and all this sort of shit. And the long and short of it is that guy got injured and died. I mean, the perpetrator, the home invader. And what happened? This guy got sentenced to manslaughter. Have a think about that. So you've gone, as a father, you got your little daughter screaming in her bedroom, completely defenseless. You launch into instinctual protection mode. Take the guy down. Okay, he dies. But you're the one, you go to prison. Make it make sense.
Well, this was truly sickening. It was lunchtime yesterday here in Williamstown. 92-year-old Barbara was walking towards Coles, and that is when a man assaulted her, pushed her to the ground. She fell unconscious. Luckily, some bystanders helped her and others performed a citizen's arrest on that 39-year-old man. He was taken into custody and Barbara was taken...
Citizen's arrest, he would have copped a citizen's head kicking. If I would see a bloke do that to a 92-year-old woman, I don't even know. I'm not even going to say it on YouTube. That's disgusting. Hopefully these people who got the citizen's arrest on this piece of crap laid in a few cheeky punches to the head. Deserves a lot more than that for this sort of behaviour.
To a local hospital. Thankfully, she has been discharged today and she is okay. The 39-year-old man has appeared in court. He has been remanded, but he did swear at the magistrate during his hearing. I'll have the full details tonight on 9 News at 6 and on 9 Now.
There we go. Looking good. We're off to a good start here.
Beautiful Melbourne, which has been my home for my whole life,
Yes.
is not in a good place. Crime is out of control.
Yep. This is not a new theme for me on this one. We've got industrial scale youth violence at the moment, and it is well beyond the pale.
Okay.
We're scared for night time. Stop nannering a few of these people as well. You drive around Melbourne now and the graffiti is out of control.
It's out of control.
It's
I mean,
out of control.
the place looks shabby.
It looks shocking. And
That's the least we've got to worry about is graffiti. I'm not worried about graffiti. I'm worried about someone going into, mum or grandma's house. Your father, elderly father, going in there and trying to rob them middle of the night when they're defenceless. I hate to think about that, but it is a real possibility. That is not being far-fetched and being alarmist.
understand when people say you don't want to be putting 12 and 13, 14-year-olds in
Total.
jail. However, people know what they're doing at 12 and 13, 14, especially if they're being recruited by those who are older and using them to commit the crimes knowing they're going to be punished. But you've got to be one step ahead of the criminals.
Yeah.
The criminals are always at 1-2 steps ahead and everyone's playing catch up. Now, of course, the problem is the state's broke, and I think there's decisions being made on how much it costs to keep somebody incarcerated as opposed to what are we doing?
That's right, the barge. I've already talked about this. Put them on the barge. No food or water. Leave the barge out in the middle of Port Phillip Bay for a week. Bring it back, reload it, send them back out. There you go. Minimal cost to the government, a bit of fuel. Maybe a little bit of labour for the people driving the barge. That's about it. All right, guys, if you're new to the channel and are liking this kind of content, I know it's a bit of a dark topic, but hey, we talk reality on this channel. Consider subscribing. Like, comment, and share. And if you want to support the channel further, there are ways to do so in the video description and pinned comment. Now, we're going to hear a couple of real stories from women in Melbourne not feeling safe and experiencing crime.
Just another day of why the fuck are we living in Melbourne today? I don't know if you've kept up with what's happening in Melbourne at the moment, but personally, Ty and I are scared to go to bed every night. to be honest. We keep our car keys in a place where they can be taken easily because the amount of crime, break-ins, beatings and car stealings, car thefts that are happening around our suburb, in our street, in our complex, is absurd. From people who are aged about 14 to 16, they don't get any repercussions, they don't go to jail, they literally get a slap on the wrist, they get let out and they reoffend the next night. It is prolific in this area. We received a knock on the door a few weeks ago asking if Millie still lives here. Millie, my dog. I said, yeah, Millie still lives here. She's right there. Oh, because she's not registered. And I was like, oh, yeah, I must have missed that this year. I haven't received anything. Yeah, well, now there's a late registration fee. And I thought, okay, for an $80 registration fee, what would you think? A fair and reasonable price for a missed dog registration. She was meant to be registered in April, it's now October, so she's a few months late. I thought maybe double the cost, maybe $200 maximum, okay? Nope, no. My local council has amnesty machete bins to pay for because they spent $13 million on that, thinking that these violent criminals were good people that would just hand over their weapons. So they have that to pay for. So I have $407.
That is extortion. I don't blame her. And she's 100% right, woman of my own heart. Think about it. The state's broke. They're clawing money any which way from people to pay for these stupid machete bins and just bad decisions, let alone dealing with any crime. Maybe are they too broke to deal with crime like good old Eddie Maguire was saying previously? I'm just thinking back to that original bulletin I showed you at the beginning of the show today. Someone reoffending 12 hours after being released on bail. They've been bailed 55 times. I mean, you got to start thinking maybe after 2 times, this person's beyond help.
To pay because of a late registration fee. Now, I've gone through all of my emails. I have searched Millie, Bayside Count.
Why do you even have to register a dog? It's just register a dog or register a cat. Get staffed. Oh, you got to pay your annual registration for your dog. Think about that. Does that really make sense to you? Oh, well, gee, man, you can get it microchipped and then they store that in the system. Don't need to charge you a fee for that. You can just pay for that service. Any way to get money out of people, even if it is $50 a year. It's just bullshit.
So registration, and I cannot find this email or emails anywhere. Now, if I was a council, I would probably be thinking, would we rather people pay $80 or $407 because it's 5 times the amount? I know, let's make the emails look spammy so they go to spam. And therefore we can charge $400 as opposed to $80. But I also then received another notice of comply to still pay her registration fee. So not only do we have to pay the late fee of $407, it's also now another $87. So it's about $500 to register my dog this year. I told her she should start paying rent. But I'm also questioning, why the fuck are we in Melbourne? Just another day.
I know. People said to me in my channel, you complain about Melbourne or you're critical of Melbourne, why don't you just piss off? Well, my whole network's here. And that's what keeps me in this state. If I was travelling light, then I'll be out the door. I've got a few friends of mine, close friends who have gone and left the state. And they're very happy about it.
I just had such a scary incident happen to me on one of the trams in Melbourne, and I'm still so shaken up right now. But basically,
So this is just, there's a lot of, as I said, there's a lot of, I'm a well-built guy. I don't feel unsafe in the city. I walk around, I shake my head at people, but I can defend myself. I'm not an easy target. I'm not the first choice of someone to come and attack or annoy. But being a woman who really, against a man, is more or less defenseless, you can see why you get these people on public transport, schizophrenic, mental illness types, drug-affected people who who are very unpredictable. You can see how this would be incredibly scary for someone who cannot defend themselves against them. Someone belligerent.
On the tram, and this man got on, and he was sitting probably about 3 meters away from me, and I was very wary about him, but I also don't want to judge a book by its cover, and I try not to discriminate. So I just sat where I was, and I was keeping my eye on him, but you could just tell he was so high on something. He was just speaking to himself, and then he pulled out a full bottle of red wine and started sipping that from the bottle, and then spitting it out on the floor and making all these noises. I was keeping my eye on the situation. I also looked around, and I could see there was another woman sitting behind me, and she was also feeling very uncomfortable. But then he made his way towards me, and he tried to grab my phone, but I was holding on to it. So I just looked at him, and I didn't say anything because I was quite scared. And then he sat down in front of me. So this is when I felt very uncomfortable, and I got up and I tried to move, but he put his leg out to block me. But I stepped over him and walked all the way to the back of the tram. And 2 other ladies that were around me also followed me towards the back of the tram. But then he started following us, and this is when I started recording, because I was like, you just never know what could happen, so just in case. And there were other people on the tram as well, which made it worse. There were all these men sitting there that did nothing, which is so frustrating as well. Especially seeing a young woman like me and another young woman who feels so uncomfortable, and we've got nowhere to go. Unfortunately, the tram doors weren't opening because it wasn't at a stop. I was just waiting for the next stop so I could just get out and leave the man. And then he went to the other lady, and he started speaking very aggressively, and he was swearing. And this is when I started shaking. And I was trying to hold this together. I didn't want to draw attention to myself. So then I tried to go down the pathway, and he wouldn't let me. So I pushed past and I just went. But then he started following me again. And I was like, I need to get away from him. Then I got off the tram. It was so disgusting. He spat on me. And I felt so disgusted. And luckily the tram door was closed, and he went off. 3 other people who had also felt uncomfortable got off. The one guy gave me napkins to try and wipe down myself, and the other lady offered me wet wipes, and they were just standing by me. But it was just such a horrible experience because you're so helpless and you have no idea what this person might do, and the people around you are scared or not helping at all. I don't understand why people don't try and help people if they can, but it's just so frustrating when these things happen, and especially when women don't feel safe, and it's literally on a random Wednesday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon in daylight with so many people around. But anyways, as I said, it could have been worse. So I'm very lucky and grateful, and I'm just sharing my frustrations and making people aware that you need to be vigilant and just be aware of your surroundings, because you just never know what situation you might get in.
Absolutely, that's the end of that. All right, so let's talk about that. As I said, Melbourne CBD and inner Melbourne suburbs, like Carlton, Fitzroy, and all those sort of places. Full of junkies, full of schizophrenics walking around, just the Walking Dead. So I can imagine she'll be very afraid. I've been yelled at on several occasions, and people come and abuse me. I'm not small. I'm 6'4" and well built. I've got people coming up and screaming in my face, and I can probably defend myself quite well. And as I said, I'm not the first choice, but these people are completely unpredictable. And that's why I wouldn't want a sister or a mother going into the CBD, especially when it's nightfall. Yeah, you got to go there for work and university. Okay, you got to suck it up and do it. Don't go out there late. That's my opinion. I'm not comfortable with it. I'm seriously disgusted with what Melbourne CBD has become. Because you see a tale of two cities, isn't it? You got people saying, I don't know what you're talking about. You got Jacinda Allen coming up on the news saying, oh, it's all good and we're the most livable city and we've got the most foot traffic. Joint's a basket case. Now, this was a different one. This isn't from Melbourne, Australia. This is in Melbourne. I think it's in Adelaide, South Australia somewhere. Just to see how things can escalate. Some dude, he asked his girlfriend for a chip, and next thing you know, full-blown domestic breaks out. I just thought it was very interesting. It made the news. Have a listen to this guy. This is a broken down man. He's broken down, probably with an abusive partner. Have a listen to it.
I shouldn't have asked for the chip.
Charlotte Harrison, in handcuffs, led away from court. She's accused of causing this serious crash, allegedly sparked by an argument.
I asked for a chip out of a half chicken and chips salad pack she had. She'd I thought she was finished. Yeah, I shouldn't have asked for the tip.
The blow-up happened on busy Melbourne Street.
I shouldn't have asked for the chip. No news here about that's DV against men, abuse and all this sort of stuff. No, that's all right. If a guy had done that, it'd be all over the news. You got a domestic violence problem. That's what I wanted to call out in this story.
Street in North Adelaide yesterday afternoon. Police called to reports of someone being chased. Matthew Finn had jumped out of the passenger seat and was walking. Police say the driver, 42-year-old Harrison, slammed into oncoming traffic and a power box.
Straight into a Toyota Yaris. And then, yeah, the girl, poor girl, she'd be shocked for life, that one. That was the worst part.
Allegedly in an attempt to run Mr. Finn over.
Yeah, she came straight at me. I just jumped straight over into her. It wasn't much of a jump, but yeah, straight over into a bit of a lane there, and she just impaled the Subaru.
During an application for bail, Harrison claims she had no intention of trying to harm Mr. Finn, telling the court she was trying to drive to the police station, hit the wrong pedal and accelerated instead of braking.
Yeah.
But the chaos continued this afternoon. Mr. Finn attending court to support her, but instead storming out halfway through the hearing.
That's the biggest bullshit story I've ever heard. All right, we're back to Melbourne, Victoria.
Melbourne was the most livable city in the world. Now it is the most livable city in the world for criminals. And that's because of the opportunity available. The opportunity this morning was my car. They smashed my window. Don't know how the alarm didn't go off, but they literally cleared everything out, including all of my rubbish. So thanks for taking the rubbish out. But they cut my baby's car seat. I mean, what the hell is that about? So really frustrating, but everyone's safe and that's all that matters. And that's what we thought this morning is thank God it wasn't a home invasion. And, you know, like this pattern has just been going on for a very, very long time. Last weekend, the street over had a couple of cars taken. This morning, one car was taken. They couldn't steal mine for some reason. But, you know, if we keep doing what we're doing, we're going to keep getting what we're getting. And I'd love somebody to do something in relation to policy to make a change. I think everybody in Melbourne wants our city to be safe. And I would love somebody to do something.
So let people have rights to defend themselves and their property. As I said, these criminals are running around with a system protecting them. Because if you go and do something and you tackle someone to the ground and they hurt themselves, you could be done for assault. Joints cooked.
Victoria's crime rate just hit a record high.
We've just spent the entire day crunching the numbers so you don't have to.
Here's 5 stats that you need to know.
Number 1, the overall crime rate across the state rose by a staggering 15.7% in the past year.
Number 2, almost 10,500 offenders failed to answer bail, a 22% increase on the year prior. That's the highest number that we've seen in a decade.
3, not only that, domestic violence is at an all-time high across Victoria. We've recorded 106,000 offences in the past year, and that's up from 98,000 recorded offences in the previous year.
Number 4, home invasions rose a staggering 21% year on year, with more than 7,800 offences recorded across the state.
Here we go. And why is that? Because people can't protect themselves. These criminals can just kick your door in or break in, climb through a window. No dramas. They're not scared that someone's going to blow them away with a double barrel. Or crack them across the back of the head, you know, with a baseball bat with nails hanging out of it. Castle law, it's needed.
Back in 2016, that number was just 3,500 offences. 5, there's a group of just over 1,100 kids aged between 10 and 17 years old who have been arrested more than 7,000 times collectively. And that group, police say, are responsible for more than half of the robberies across the state.
That group of kids were also linked to at least 1 in 5 car thefts in the past year.
We've got more data broken down on our website.
Give us the actual data. Where's the country of origin? Or heritage. No, G-Man, you can't say that. That's racism. They all skirt around it.
Including details on knife crime, retail theft, and how crime stacks up in your area.
So head on over to the Herald Sun's app.
Head on over to the Herald Sun, guys. All right, we've got the most dangerous train stations in Melbourne.
These are Melbourne's 4 most dangerous train stations. Frankston comes in 4th place, seeing the highest rate of crime in 5 years, with 151 offences recorded in the past 12 months. In 3rd place is Southern Cross. 246 crimes have been committed here in the last year, with drug crime rising to an all-time high. Dandenong Railway Station has been ranked 2nd place with 77 drug offences and 19 property and deception offences recorded. That's including burglary, theft and property damage. And coming in 1st place is Melbourne's city stations, Flinders Street, Parliament, Melbourne Central and Flagstaff. 326 offences have been recorded at these stations in the past year. Assaults, robberies and abductions are the most common crimes.
Abductions? What? As I said, guys, I've been saying, I go to CBD all the time. I see this stuff every day, and I'm sure a lot of you watch me and go, yeah, okay, I'll go there too, G-man. But I've got my eyes open looking at things. I don't walk around with headphones in my ear and looking at my phone. Like I'm very aware of my surroundings, and you just see a lot of bullshit, especially Flinders Street Station. I've been highly critical of Flinders Street. Have a look at this story. Very disgusting. Quite sickening that someone could even think to do this. And that's get 150 days jail.
Well, you may remember this footage from back in January showing a 15-year-old boy swinging a machete at the head of a stranger in St Kilda. It was filmed by our 7 News reporter, Paul Dowsley. I've been in the children's court today, and that 15-year-old boy has just been sentenced to 150 days behind bars. We heard in court he actually was on 4 sets of bail at the time for other violent offending, and the magistrate said his offending had just gone from bad to worse. Now, when he gets out of jail after those 150 days, he'll actually be living in a residential unit and being cared for by state government agencies. That's because this boy's mum and dad have said that they just cannot have him back in the family home with his other siblings until they consent that he's no longer going to offend. Well, you may remember this.
Put him on the barge. This guy is going to be a complete drain to society his whole life. If someone can go and do that, run up and hit someone in the head with a machete. Think about this. People are running around with machetes hitting each other with them. What is going on here? Every fucking day there's something. I know this is a bit of an old story here. This is a few months old. Have a think about that. People are running around with these huge bladed weapons capable of killing someone in one swipe. And they're doing it. They're hitting each other in the head. Hit the dude in the head. If someone's got it in them to run up to someone with a machete and hit him in the head with it, they cannot be released back into the public. Who knows what you can do with them, but they can't be back in the public. Well, you're going to reform him. You can't even go home. Your family don't want him. Put him on the barge.
So is Melbourne meant to be dangerous like this, or is it just like the bad luck that I've had? Because I'm in the middle of the city, staying on Burke Street, and I've just read online that there was a guy out there with a gun this morning, just walking the streets, hijacking cars. And I was going to go out there this morning, and then just at the last minute decided I was going to stay in the room and just relax a bit. I could have been out there, he could have killed me. That's where my mind's going at. I nearly died today.
I don't know about that. The guy was a mental patient with a fake gun, but I guess you wouldn't have known that at the time of making this video. But very interesting. I want to talk about this too. I'm going to call it reverse racism. No, I don't support anyone creating crime. It doesn't matter where you're from. But these people who, so think about that woman who stabbed the Japanese lady in the chest for no reason in the city recently. And think about this dickhead who was, had a mental snap or whatever and robbed cars and was driving into the city and had full SWAT teams and everything after him and got belted. His face and her face were all over the news media. It wasn't, their names are out there. There was no filtering. But if it's someone of a diverse background, it's all filtered. The footage is highly edited. It makes it hard to make it out. One thing I've also noticed as well, if people are Caucasian, they'll say that man was of Caucasian appearance. If they're talking about a criminal or crimes, they're looking for people. If they are people who are not white, they will leave that out. She's a bit rough, old Shazzy. Let's watch this, and then I'll go back to that other one. The Shazzy one's a bit long. I'm going to have to do it another time. I've been ranting on a bit too long today already. Look at this. Here we go. All right, Shazzy, we'll come back to you. Well, let's watch this out. And then that'll be it for today, guys. And thank you all who have made it this far in. I know it's a big ask to watch a 30-minute video.
You might get away with it now, but sooner or later, you're going to have to pay for it. And what I mean by that is, spiritually and emotionally, you're going to have to pay for it. This moment's going to pass. One day you are going to grow up. You will be in your late 20s or late 30s, and you will have kids of your own. One of them might be 12 years old and the other one might be 15. You'll be sitting on that couch going, it's 3:30, they should be home by now. 7 o'clock at night, they're still not home, and now you're freaking out. Clock strikes at midnight, you are completely frantic because your kids didn't come home. Do you know what you're going to be doing? You're going to be thinking about that 12-year-old and that 15-year-old that you unalived, and it's going to stay with you forever. It is going to haunt you forever. If there's anything that I've learned in life, nobody ever gets away with anything. They do not. They do not. You might get a...
I don't know. What we're seeing here is people are getting a pretty good run, committing crimes and getting bailed and being let out and reoffending. It's Grand Theft Auto. People say, gee, man, don't say it's video game. It's a joke. You can do whatever you want in Grand Theft Auto. People are doing whatever they want in society and not even caring. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one. Really appreciate those who made it to the end. Cheers.